What's up, everybody? Plate the Scholar of Magic here, and a little bit of a different video today. A user requested, hey man, can you just go over this deck and kind of tell me how it works exactly? And maybe go through a couple hands. So that's what we're going to demonstrate today. One of my all-time I just turned out to love this commander a million times. I'll kind of give you a brief history of how this started with this particular commander, and then what it kind of ended up with. So initially, I was trying to find a good 5-color Mutate commander, and it didn't really matter. Just this I was like, which one is the best one? Because I have Brawl, I don't get all the access, and I did kind of even research it on the internet. Some of the other 5-color commanders, some of them seem pretty decent and unique, and they're probably pretty good too. Someone else asked me why did you pick Omnath? There's so many other 5-color commanders, and this is what I had access to on Brawl, and it was between this and the last sliver, and I got to reading Omnath, and I was like, wow, you know what? This is a really interesting card, and I think people overlook it. So let's see if I can zoom in on this one just a little bit so you can see the commander just a little bit more. So Omnath, the Locus of ALL, is a 5-color commander: plains, island, swamp, mountain, forest. And then it has a symbol here in the middle. You can call that the Eye of Sauron. Also Phyrexian mana. This can actually be played with life total instead of the mana cost, which is a really cool mechanic, right, guys? So basically, the first note that you have to make about this commander is you don't need to have that black casting cost when you cast Omnath. You can just simply pay the life under. When you have an abundance of life and he's going to be one of your first plays of the game, you definitely can afford that 2 life there. And then that means you only require plains, blue, red, and green. So when you're assembling your colors, you definitely don't want it to run into a double black. That's when you're having a disaster, especially if you're playing dual lands and you have a basic swamp. You're in for a rough time because you're not going to be able to play Omnath on curve. It's really important to play at least 6 triomes in this deck. You really have to have a lot of triomes because you need to hit all the colors, and kind of those really help you to get along the way. And you also really don't have to emphasize black mana when you're in your early sequences. You want to just make sure you get your Jeskai triomes, your Ikeria triomes. You definitely want those. Maybe your Spara headquarters, and then maybe you sprinkle a little black in, maybe a Savoy triome or a Zagoth triome along the way. So it plays predominantly Sultai, so a good triome probably just to fetch up immediately is a Zagoth, but again, you really want to emphasize your other 4 colors first, especially green and blue. Okay. So I would also emphasize that getting a note card for this commander too. I know that sounds silly, but just get a note card such as this, just a little notebook or something like a cue card that you can use over and over again. And the reasoning for that is because you want to kind of remind yourself what you need to do with this card, especially with that lose unspent mana. That mana becomes black instead. So for instance, you tap out your commander, playing your commander the first go around, that's fine. But what if you had one mana left over, on your next turn? As it goes through your opponent's turns, you want to keep that mana. You could basically tap it at any point, even after your turn, if that would make you feel more satisfied, or you could show that you're holding that mana too. But you just want to have that kind of note card so that if you do go to your opponent's end step right before yours, then you would also make sure that you tap your mana, and then that would get into a bank as long as Omnath still remained on the battlefield and become black, even no matter what color you tapped it for. So that's the no card part. The other part is easier to understand, but in principle, but it's still kind of confusing, I think, to some, because it did take me a while to kind of get what the criteria meant for 3 colored pips. At first I thought, they needed to be 3 different colors, and I think Legend VD did a video, and if you guys go back to his channel and look at his Omnath Locus of ALL deck, you'll notice that he used cards that basically had 3 different colors in their pip pie. So for instance, a Jeskai or I'm blanking now. But anyways, like say for instance, any of those like kind of like red, white, blue, for instance. If that was in your allotted things, he was doing that. He was making sure there was different 3 different colors in each of the cards predominantly. But they don't have to be different, but they do have to be there. So let's go over an example. So let's go. This is a perfect example, like a Critterhoof Behemoth. Okay, so it's not like it's a red, green, and blue, right? So that's what we see. It's just green, 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 and it has the 3 colors. So that's what it says here. Let's read it together. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card if it has 3 or more colored mana symbols and its mana cost. 3 or more colored mana symbols. If you do, add 3 mana in any combination of its colors and put it into your hand. If you don't reveal it, put it in your hand. Now let's read this about if you do add 3 mana in any combination of its colors, any combination. So for instance, I have green, like for a Critterhoof Behemoth, I'm just getting green out of that. If I have black, green, blue, like with the Brokos, I believe you could get 3 black. You could get 3 green or 3 blue or a combination of all of them. And I'll look back at my gameplay too, but that's how I've understood it to be used in the past. So I could be wrong, but for instance, I think it doesn't have to be one of each. If you do black, green, blue, if you reveal this card, you could just get 3 of each or 2 of each or 1 of each, whatever it is that you want. So how this works basically is it's going to come to your upkeep and you have Omnath on a battlefield. You're going to draw your first card, and then what's going to happen is you're going to reveal the next card. And how that's going to be, and you may reveal. Sorry, it is a may reveal. And you're only going to if you want the mana, of course, which you probably are going to want, you're going to definitely reveal that card. But what's nice, you have to think of this as like a Phyrexian Arena on a creature. Plus, you're not getting like ding damage either. It's really solid and continuous card advantage. It's kind of like a Howling Mine of creatures. Yeah, kind of is, isn't it? So, yeah, this thing's, and it could also add additional mana, which is really strong. Yeah. So, yeah, that's Omnath in a nutshell. There. That's pretty much the juice. And so for instance, I draw a card and then I reveal Brokos. I'm going to add whatever mana that it's allotted me and 3 additional mana. And then basically, obviously you're not going to lose that, it's going to go into your main phase. So yeah, it's a really cool card. And okay, another reason is like, well, why did you go into this commander? Like, Last Sliver is also really solid, of course. Well, it's because what you'll notice is that a lot of like really good cards and key cards that kind of fit this deck, especially the Mutate cards, have 3 or more colored mana symbols in their mana pool. And I also want to mention that Ikoria, to me, playing through these sets over the last couple of years, people do say, well, yeah, certain creatures are really freaking good. And, but Ikoria had some mega bombs, bro. Like, Mutate is a freaking busted ass, like, just gameplay, the play patterns, the actual strength of the cards. It's just like, what is going on? And let me like kind of illustrate this. And I think we can probably just kind of zoom out now because I know my head is covering some of these cards. So give me a second here. Let me give it a little bigger though. I think that should be fine. Let me just I think that's cool. So, like for instance, let's just imagine something like your turn 1, turn 2 play, and we're gonna goldfish something like this. But first, let's just like imagine the circumstance. Basically, it's like a mana dork of any sort. All of the mana dorks that we have here are going to be able to provide this really key like turn 2 play with a particular card, and I'll tell you what that card is in a second. There's lots of good 3-drops. But let's just go over this completely cool scenario because we're definitely in the Mutate vibes, and this is how it's going to be going on. So you're going to definitely want like a non-human mana dork. You can't play Noble Hierarch in this deck. It's absolutely not a question. Even though you're going to get a lot of that mana, those nice color fixing, you can't mutate on it. You can only mutate onto non-human creatures. Honestly, Esper Sentinel is just kind of sliding in. You know, it's really unfortunate you cannot mutate it. It kind of looks like a mutant, like a non-human, but it's not. It is definitely a human. So this is like kind of like our just mana, just card gas. Like who doesn't like this card? It's just the bomb. But so if we have our Mystic here, we're definitely going to want our Migratory Greathorn. That is a sweet turn 2 play. I just love that. It's perfect for this deck. It's gonna, when this, basically the Migratory Greathorn, when it mutates onto a creature, then we can go ahead and search for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, and then shuffle our library. And what's cool about Mutate is that if you can combine that with cheap mutates, I really emphasize that. The cheapest mutates are just gonna just make your day so much better, because you're gonna have turns when you just have an abundance of mana, and these mutates are gonna get you really far ahead, and they just kind of create value out of the bungs. Like, it's just kind of amazing. So for instance, this is like just like a cultivate. But it continuously cultivates. We're going to keep mutating onto this thing, you know. And there is an interesting dynamic when we mutate. And I would say, like, you basically have the option to put a card over or under. So for instance, I would want my Mystic to get a little stronger, you know. So I'm going to put it over, for instance. Let's see, where is it? There it is. So let me just scroll this up too. I don't want my head to kind of cover it. So we're going to put this card over. It's going to get those 3-4 stats, and it will still have the characteristics, both the cards over and under. But for stat line, you want to put it on top. It's kind of a good way to start with it. For instance, if I put the Migratory Greathorn underneath, then it would only stay a 1/1, but it would still be considered a Migratory Greathorn. So that's kind of the concept. That's how Mutate works, and I'd say that's a very strong play pattern. So let's just go head down in here into our like kind of Goldfish area and just kind of Goldfish into this until we get into like a Mana Dork and a Greathorn. That'll kind of be the first. Okay, so here we go. We're just kind of go through here a couple times. Okay, so that's also similarly, like, you know, we're missing kind of the curve itself. We could draw into it, but I mean, this is a really powerful, you need like a fetch land perhaps to make this really, really hot, but a Mystic into a Nissa is also like a very, very powerful move, of course, because Nissa can get into our elementals, some of our key elementals, for instance, like where are we? The Luna is an elemental. Okay, I must be coming close. Yeah, a Luna. So that's a really sick elemental to fetch, guys. I did it the other night. It was amazing. Yeah, you guys are going to want to fetch that thing up. That's a nasty Mutate card. Alright, let's just deal another hand. Honestly, and this is why I'm doing this too, is like Bloom Tender is also a very powerful card for you guys. Like, obviously, it's just, if you can stick your Bloom Tender in an Omnath, I mean, you're going to have a target on your head all of a sudden, but, you know, when you untap, you're going to be able to create 5 mana alone with a Bloom Tender, which is, like, really good. You know, that's some really good stuff. So I'd say, like, this is definitely a keepable hand. You got Vesuban Duplimancy to, like, go absolutely insane with your creatures, especially with these Mutate cards. Basically, you just create, like, you know, abundance of Omnaths that are not considered legendary, and you're just, like, getting so ahead with cards and mana. I mean, these Mutates are just so very strong. And these are global effects, too. Whenever this creature mutates, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Brutal. Yeah, you got kind of your staples in here, too. It's pretty decent. I mean, I would say, like, the... the Migratory Greathorn is, like, kind of, like, my fave start. I mean, this is cool. I mean, you can kind of just lead with your ramp and, get a Sentinel out. Seems pretty decent. Lots of mutate. Seems good. There's an exploration hand. Mana's not too good here. Interesting draw. It's pretty fast. Definitely want to get your Omnath because you want to kind of fuel these explorations too. See what happens here. This is our 8, right? Don't know if I would have held. It would have been kind of slow with a Fabled Passage, to be honest. Probably not the best Goldfish. And we're on Moxfield today. It's just beautiful, huh, guys? Moxfield. Here we go. There's a Migratory Greathorn. Let's just play test this one. See how it goes. No blue mana for the mana drain. Kind of sad, but I mean, we got a key card. We got like a couple key cards here. So, I mean, for me, I'm probably going to just want to lead right into my Omnath. I don't think I'm going to want to put such a target on these things, putting a Bloom Tender and a Migratory Greathorn together. So, I definitely want to lead on Omnath, so to speak, in this instance. So, I mean, this can just come in tapped here. We're saying go. It's cool. Little Cabaret Courtyard. Easy Bloom Tender here. Let's draw. And I think we do have the mana for this Omnath. We're definitely going to want to lead into Omnath here. Yeah, got red, white, green, blue. You pay the 2 life, and now we're in the business. And now we get to draw. Oh my god, see, if that was their second card here, we would have just been able to produce like 3 mana on the spot. That's a lot of freaking mana with a Bloom Tender. If everything lives, it's 11 mana. It's really good. See what we reveal? So just a land. But we get the 2 cards, which is really nice. These are really fun too, like the Disciples. Really sneaky lands that have 3 colored pips in them. We'll go over all the 3 colored pip cards, but there's quite a few. This is pretty fun. So, I mean, this looks kind of fun, like a Scoot Swarm into a... I mean, you can mutate onto the Scoots here and make some Migratory Greathorn Scoots. I don't know if you guys have seen that before. But once you copy this over, it's still Scoot Swarm, and they basically make a bunch of 3/4s instead of 1/1s. Oh shit! So that's some. Oh shoot! My god, we got a Ruinous Ultimatum. If we popped a Scalding Tarn here, you can keep Mana Drain open too with these 2 fools if you wanted to. Otherwise, we're just kind of rolling here. 3 green available. Scooty Boy, Migratory Greathorn. Just drop the fetches to go along with that and just kind of go to town. Seems really good. You could even Ruinous Ultimatum all your opponent's stuff because it's so early. But this is just non-land permanent, so they might not have too many goodies yet. But hey, that was pretty fun. That was a pretty good look. So we can kind of look at all the cards with pips. So the deal with this is that we believe in creatures, and we believe that the creatures will win. So, I mean, there's definitely light counter magic. There's definitely light board interaction, I'd say. I'd say in a 1v1, there's a lot more targeted interaction. And I think I do play like kind of... because aggro is so much better on Brawl. So I do play like the Toxic Delusion Meat Hook, but I think this is fine. Just like a Ruinous Ultimatum and really just believing in the creatures to get the job done. Blossoming Tortoise is a very, very important card for this deck. It definitely builds the graveyard. It's very good with our card Nathroi, Apex of Death, which we'll get into in a second because our yard is getting built. It's also good for our Brokos because we can get mutates from the graveyard. Ooh, that's good. That's real good. So, oh god, there's so many good cards. Glarb is like that 3-color pip that sets off Omnath and also benefits our landfall because we can play from lands from the top of our deck and 4-costed things. So, yeah. All right, so let's go over the colored things that have the 3 pips. So you have Brokos, which is a mutate card. You get the Sultai colors there. You had the Disciple here. This is a land card that could also act as a creature, and it can get you some cards. Very good card, of course. Glarbus here. We have a Luna. Great mutate card as well. This one can really be cool because when you mutate, you just start, get the RNG gods going. And you just put a permanent on the battlefield to reveal a permanent. So that's really cool, mutate. I'm telling you guys, these mutate cards are so wonderful. And this is what I mean by the low cost. I know that this is not a 3-colored, but I want to explain that you want to have like your mutate 2s and 3s. The Hemophage isn't half bad. I mean, the Drain is pretty good because it's in each cause, so you get some value. There's lots of value in the mutate cards, so I think you'll really enjoy these low cost mutate, and I think they're essential, even if they don't have such big bombastic effects like some of the bigger ones. Ivy, the Gleeful Spell Thief. This is the one where it's going to basically copy your mutates, so you go ahead and mutate onto your Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and then you can have the copy go on top of Ivy. It's like, or go under, like whatever you prefer. I mean, if you want like the flying characteristics, you want to keep it on top. So that's kind of like, if I ever want to give something flying, that didn't have it before, I'm going to put the flying card on top, so it gets those characteristics. You have to see it as like a meld, right? See it a little bit? I see it a little bit. So there's that. And, okay, so Kogla has a 3 colors, so that's nice. Low cost mutates, of course, are just abundant here. Loomer is just another one of those big bombs, guys. It's just totally worth it to play in this deck, because we will build a graveyard, and I mean, when you put a Loomer out on the battlefield, it's just an abundance of lands. It's like you can really blow out opponents just because you put like 10 to 15 lands on the battlefield at once. Here's Nithroy that has 3 colors in its mana pips. You have the Omnath, OG Omnath here, along with the other OG Omnath, Omnath Locus of Rage. So we're definitely a landfall deck. So it definitely is a cool deck, guys. Definitely a fitting commander too, I do believe. And then you have my favorite card, guys. I think Snapdax is in all of us. I think it is. If you believe that, hit me with a subscribe. No, this is cool. But do you guys believe in Omnath? I believe. And I believe in Snapdax as well. Snapdax is so cool because he has Death Touch. He's a sneaky mutate mofo. This thing... Oh, wait. No. This doesn't have Death Touch, but this is what you want to do. You want to mutate on something with Death Touch. For instance, an Insatiable Hemophage. Because what happens is Snapdex is going to do 4 damage to a target creature or planeswalker. So, for instance, if we mutate Snapdex onto a Insatiable Hemophage, we're going to put the Snapdex on top. And we're still going to retain that characteristic of Death Touch, and we're going to have Double Strike. And when something mutates onto a Snapdax, he is going to send his Death Touch power to a creature and going to die. Okay? So that's really sick. I mean, it doesn't have to even meet your damage criteria. You just turn this thing into that one staff, whatever it is. It's like worth a lot of money for whatever reason. The Rune Bit Staff. Something of that nature. 3 colors here for a wonderful landfall enabler. Now, there is like... The main crux of this deck is to fit in your ways to get value from the library, because if you're playing out lands from your hand, which you have to think of these as like kind of 2-for-1 in yourself almost. For instance, if I have a Dryad of Elysian Grove, I'm playing those lands like so fast, I'm just like, my hand is getting emptied out. It's not like those cards replace themselves. So my suggestion is like reality type of chip effects. And this is the card that's going to let you look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as the reality chip is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. The land part is big for us. If we have cards such as Thalia that lets us play additional lands, we can just have a reality type of chip effect, and we can play the lands from the top of our deck and get into our juice. And keep the cards in our hand. It's just an abundance of value, and we need that. We need like another way to like derive cards for ourselves. So a reality chip is going to be real good for that kind of effect, and that is super good so far. Another card that helps us play off the top is Aggravatum. Not only lands, but creatures if we meet the criteria of 3 different creature powered cards on the battlefield for ourselves. Okay, seems pretty doable. So that's one of our other ways. Glarb is also another way to play off the top of our deck. So we have an abundance of creatures that will do the function for us. And then, of course, we have our sweet sorceries here. They all have 3 pips in them or more. And they're all very good for us. I do think Omnath is a very cool card, guys. Overall, I'd say it fits the deck very well. It fits these cards very well. You know, these land cards especially. Like, you could see, we're very close. Like, it's not going to be 50-50, but we're going to get close, and sometimes we're going to reveal. We're going to get the extra mana value. We even have, like, Bolas Citadel in here, which is really cool. Swords to Plowshares, Sink to Stupor, Mana Drain, just lands that can be bounce spells. Just awesome interaction here, single target interaction. Very efficient stuff here. Probably the card that I'm most pleased about is the Frontline Heroism. And this one is like basically like a mini Vesuvian Duplimancy, and it's cheaper too, which is really interesting. So, I mean, you'd honestly think of like, oh, like, you know, Crimson Wisps or, you know, Charge Through, or, you know, those single mana cantrips that, you know, you can get, you know, value off of those and create more tokens, for instance, and, you know, they'll get that you know, the benefit of that card when it's copied. But thing about Mutate is that this card is not a 59-cent card, guys. I mean, us Mutate people, this is the card of the year for us. This is everything we need and more. This is something you prefer over like a turn 2 Migratory Greathorn with an elf. This is what you go into. You go Frontline Heroism, and then you go ahead and mutate on your elf, and then you create another Migratory Greathorn that's going to be mutated on this, whatever the hell it is, this token, right? So we're going to make the token in for instance already. Whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single creature you control, so Mutate is a cast. Whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single, yes, that's all it does. It just targets a single thing. Create a 1/1 red soldier creature token with haste. Then copy that spell. The copy targets the token. I mean, what can you say, guys? Like, is there anything else to say about that? Like, you're just going to get like double mutates, and you're going to get the double, you know, stack triggers? It's like, okay, that sounds good. So, I mean, that along with Vesuvian Duplimancy, one of my favorite things to do is just to slam like a Blossoming Tortoise down and then start mutating on the tortoise, and you're getting all those enter the battlefield triggers because you're making more tortoises and you're building your graveyard. So that's good stuff. Yeah, we love it. Yeah, you just like, you can go right into like I suppose like a tortoise right into a Vesuvian Duplimancy and just slam it, right? Seems pretty good. And just start mutating on everything. I mean, you guys are going to be stoked because we didn't skimp on the mutates. They're in here. Like, they are all over the place. Then they do not suck. This one will give you a card. This will destroy artifacts and enchantments and give things trample. You got the Luna in here, which is just a bomb. You know, probably the one that you also want is like a No Dreamy, to be honest. I think that's like kind of the last like edition that I'd have to consider, like, because we love the Mutate so much that we'd probably be willing to like say goodbye to, like, for instance, one of the maybe weaker four mana mutates. The Shork is pretty good and the card is pretty good, but we definitely want the Otrimi because it definitely sets off Omnath too. We want to like kind of increase our chances for that. Satas Demolisher is just a big mega guy, you know. I mean, it just kind of really makes your opponent like have a bad day because you can hit their lands. So, like, Mutate just like really make him a bad outing, you would say. I do love the Insatiable Hamophage and the Snapdax a lot. See, I guess it's like, what do we think about the Lurker? That's pretty good. That can return permanence. It's pretty solid, huh? I like this because it gives flying too. Shark doesn't suck either, to be honest. It has flash too. It's pretty sick. It's a really cool blue card in general. Nice bounce there. This is single target bouncing, so I think of the card, we're going to like the card a little bit. So I think I definitely like Go Tree Me. I think I do. And then you have these like awesome team ups too, like Exploration and these Experimental Frenzy, like, because that's what you kind of have to balance with, right? Because you're just like unloading cards, you know, you're unloading these additional lands. We either have to draw an abundance of cards, or we have to keep up by playing like cards like such as Experimental Frenzy. And I'm telling you, if you unload like a Thali and the Gitrog monster in Experimental Frenzy, then you're just going to start spewing off your lands from your deck and playing cards from your library. It's just like an easy peasy. Like this additional land card makes sure that you're like, okay, I start off with I cast Experimental Frenzy, and then all of a sudden, okay, I have a land on the top. I'm playing that single land. Oh, I have another one. Oh, I play that one too. So it gives us that second chance to brick off our library and then get into some of our cards and spells. And that's like, how many cards do you play a turn? Like, if we can play 2 lands, say a turn and at least another spell. I mean, it's not the end of the world. And I really do like kind of that kind of the characteristics of that deck where you can just kind of start spewing off and really getting ahead on your lands and such. So overall, really pleased with how like kind of this deck looks. In terms of your mana base, just kind of looking around here, and I think I might have also skipped out on the command tower on this one, but I mean, you definitely need like some basics because we're running some of these lands that sacrifice. Let's see, for instance, like these Broker's Hideouts. So when you do fetch with like your Scalding Tarns, you definitely want to get into your Triomes and your Shock lands predominantly, because you want to save these your basics for like these Broker's Hideouts and Cabaret Courtyards. Also, you have like Prismatic Vista and Fable Passage, which are just good fetch lands. So yeah, but these can only get basics, right? So that's why we have, I think, 6 basics. So it's honestly, it's kind of like, it's fine. It's been totally fine for me so far. I haven't had a trouble like getting in this. And running one of every color is something that I definitely suggest. And I just happen to have extra swamp here. So, I'm not really too sad about like any of the omissions or inclusions, but yeah, and I suppose like over a shock land, one of these other shock lands, like you could probably run like a command tower because it's just like one of your best cards, right? So we'll just add like a command tower. You do want to be able to fetch like most colors as well, though. Yeah, so you're looking around, well, I really want that color, configuration. Actually, like, the shocklands are super cool too, but the fact that you can fetch them, right? It's very strong. Oh, we have 2 forests too. That's nice. So I'm sure we're running one of each of the 2 forests, 1 mountain, 1 island, 1 plains, 2 swamps. Yeah, that seems pretty decent. Or we could even drop like a triome for the command tower. I don't mind that either. I like the shocklands because they come in untapped. Zagoth seems good. The Savoy, that's fine. We don't need the Savoy. The Savoy. Do we have the Rafine's Tower? I don't know if I actually own this card. I do have Spara's headquarters though. I do have Spara's. Rafine's Tower. Do I have the Jeskai? Just put the Jeskai one in. Is that what it's called? Probably in there, the Rogren Triumph, right? Yeah, we got that. I have to remember all the Triumphs that I own. I know, that reminds me, I am giving away a Ketria Triumph and a Zago Triumph along with Ophelia from the new Jumpstart Foundations for my 300 subscribers. So I've seen you guys come in over the winter break. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, thanks again for joining me again. My name is Blake the Scholar, and this is kind of what we do. We kind of just have fun on the computer. In terms of, I'm just trying to think if I wouldn't mind playing that Triumph exactly, but it's just that I like to also put deck lists that I own. It's just easier for me when I put these decks together because I can like kind of, it's a process to like getting the real cards up and linked up to this point, if that makes sense. So in terms of like just, let's see. I do like the kind of the rainbow lands too. That's fine. How many Triumphs are we at? At least 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that seems pretty solid. We have all the shock lands. We're not going to lose any of those. We're going to play all of them. And we have some nice surveil lands here too. Thundering Falls. This is the land you play, and then you can put a card from your into your graveyard, or leave it on top. Yep, a couple surveil lands here. Pretty good. Do we have Meticulous Archive? Just curious. I just like the way it sounds. Meticulous Archive. Blood Crypt. I hope I have this card. I really dig it. Alright, let's try to do like one more of these, and just this is definitely a hand you don't want to keep because you don't have like any early acceleration, and your lowest cost spell is this Glarb here. It's kind of dangerous. It's really dangerous. This seems better. I mean, it seems a little bit better. It's probably, if a Mutate here, fairly, but the Noble Hierarch is not the worst. I'd prefer like a, which would you call like a lower cost Mutate for this thing, or a Bloom Tender. So let's deal another. These are good cards. We're just not with the right mana here. Seems pretty decent. Little card advantage here. The Aftermath Analyst. I like this actually. You're just going to want to pop. You're going to want to pop that Analyst basically as soon as possible. You want to get into these fetch lands here, get a bunch of them in your deck, and then benefit from that. So let's play test this one. Okay, here we'll Esper Sentinel. We drew for turn. Okay, that's still fine. And you lead with your Aftermath Analyst. Might have a card or two from the Sentinel by now. 1, 2, 3 cards into the graveyard. We kind of bricked on that one. You want to have lands go in there. So that's a brick. That's better. Okay, we're at the Prismatic Vista here. And I usually say you want to just pop this thing ASAP, but we really definitely bricked on our lands. We only have two fetch lands in there. And we still can't do it anyways, actually. So we're at like our 3 mana here. And none of the Mutates available. That's why it is kind of risky to play the Sentinel. And you don't want to sacrifice one of your cards that you're going to sacrifice anyways. So, I think what you're going to probably want to do is fetch like a mountain here and at least maybe just play out this Regal Ligasaur. It's alright. Yeah, hopefully we had some card selection for that Esper Sentinel. That's the reason we play. We like to get into a couple cards, but yeah, that one wasn't the most impressive one. I mean, we're really, depending on the analyst to kind of pick that one up for us. And we still might have to pop it anyways, to be honest, for those 2 lands. This isn't the worst. That's the card, man. That's the card we need. And just looking at some of these Goldfish, I wouldn't mind, let's see, do we have Prismatic Mana Confluence? We should have those. You can see from the Goldfish. We can probably lose another shock land here. Just do this Blood Crypt, is fine. It's pretty good. I wonder if it brought into another fetch land. Man, that's the team up right there, Nissa and Aftermath Analyst. No kidding, huh? How many lands are we playing in this deck? 47. It's pretty good, I guess. Kind of looking like we're kind of breaking on that a little bit. Tortoise is very good. Can't keep a 1-lander, though. Yeah, this one looks promising. I mean, Bird's always decent, right? City of Brasses are definitely paying off big time. Oh, that is very interesting. The frontline heroism. So, with this nice little mana here, we're going to probably be able to lead into mostly any of these fetch lands here. Looks like a Rogran Triumph fits. And we can get into our Omnath there. The mana is very good. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're drawing and revealing. Okay, so we didn't get our 3 mana play there. But I think we can probably start mutating soon. Appears to be. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. You definitely want to get your frontline heroism going. If we went to something like this, for instance. Five mana available. I mean, I guess we put out the reality chip too. Tap out. To fetch land, this would have been much better. So we can imagine if everything goes to plan, we just mutate on any of these things. And that copy would also hit the frontline heroism. And then we'd exile cards from the top of our library into exile X permanent cards. So, I mean, we're just going to get... I think... Does the Broker's Hideout count as a permanent? I think it does. So we get that. And we get it twice, right? So we get this Watery Grave. Just a sweet card. And then we're just drawing cards with Omnath. And guys, look. Right on time, baby. Go right on the Star X, and if it's mutated twice, you get 2 permanents, and then we're going to get additional 2 permanents from the other frontline heroism trigger. Oh, maybe it'll just be 1. It'll be single, right? Because it's a new Star X. Or how would it go? Yeah. So if I mutate onto the Star X, one of them, doesn't matter which one. Yeah, we're going to get the one that has the 2. We'll get 2 permanents from that, and then 1 from the other one. That's a Sawdust Demolisher. I think this too, right? One has, you get 2. We get a Thalia. One had 2, the other had 1. Man, that's good. And you get all these 6/6s. You can get some value from the reality chip probably eventually. I think we are playing the Raminap Excavator. And if you get the reality chip going, then you're really cruising, right? You can really start getting into your deck. So, yeah, that was a pretty good look. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was different, but I hope you have a great day. Let me know. Bye-bye.